Good morning, everyone. I'm Senator Marilou McPhedran, and I'm the convener of the ongoing here in West Block Youth Parliament Nuclear Summit. It is the second one that we have held. We have a significant list of parliamentary co-sponsors, many of them unable to join us today because of the rather disturbing weather conditions that we have. However, I'm very pleased to and honored to share this podium with a co-sponsor and sister senator from Manitoba, Dr. Flordeliz Gigi Osler, who will speak briefly. And to my left, we have one of the co-chairs of the summit, who will speak specifically about her experiences dealing with nuclear waste. And it is Peyton Pitawanakwat from the Mississauga First Nation. And coming to us from high schools in Manitoba, we have on my far left, Cadence, and Emily. Emily comes from the Maple Met School in Winnipeg, and Cadence comes from the Selkirk School Division, not that far from Winnipeg, but a completely different community. We're here today because the summit is going on as we speak, and there is a meeting also about to start with students that have come from different parts of Canada and Ottawa area to meet with the Speaker of the House of Commons, the Honourable Greg Fergus. They will be meeting with Speaker Fergus in the chamber of the House of Commons, engaging in discussion with him, and also presenting the open letter to Canada, a letter from the participants of this summit to members of Parliament, including senators, very practical points that are being raised by young people here with us today. And I'm going to quickly summarize the 5 key requests that are in the open letter. Calling on all members of our Parliament, so of course that includes the Senate of Canada, to take the following 5 key actions. Urge Canada to participate in the 3rd meeting of the states parties to the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, which is about to take place beginning on March 1st at UN headquarters in New York. 2, sign the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons Parliamentary Pledge. 3, support international initiatives on victim assistance and environmental remediation. 4, urge Canada to sign on to all relevant nuclear treaties, including the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. 5, engage in thoughtful and transparent dialogue with civil society, including young members of civil society, on Canada's nuclear policy. I'm going to now hand the podium to Senator Osler.
Thank you, Senator McPhedran. Bonjour tout le monde. As a physician, a parliamentarian, and a Canadian deeply committed to public health and global security, I want to emphasize the grave medical and humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons. The open letter from youth and civil society groups calls for decisive action on disarmament, and their concerns are not just political, they are fundamentally about human survival and health. Nuclear weapons are not merely instruments of war. They are a public health catastrophe waiting to happen. The detonation of even a single nuclear weapon, whether by accident, conflict, or miscalculation, would unleash devastating immediate and long-term side effects, including mass casualties and health system collapse, radiation exposure and long-term disease, environmental devastation and food insecurity. In closing, we must recognize nuclear disarmament not just as geopolitical strategy, but as an urgent public health priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Osler. Peyton, please.
Thank you. Ani Bojo. My name is Peyton Pitawanakwat, and I'm from Mississauga First Nation. I'm here today as a proud member of my community to speak about the environmental injustices that my community has faced over time. My community is located along the north shore of Lake Huron, where we also have the world's largest uranium refinery. I'm honored to be here today in the unceded and unsurrendered territories of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation to gather for the 2025 Youth Parliament Nuclear Summit, Advancing Nuclear Justice and Youth Leading to Reverse the Trends. So I deeply appreciate Senator McPhedran and Osler for creating this vital space and ensuring that First Nations people such as myself have the opportunity to share our experiences. As we know, First Nations people are disproportionately impacted and bear a lot of the weight of the environmental injustices that are happening across this country. I speak as a member of my community that is heavily impacted, and I want to take this opportunity to urge the Government of Canada to take more substantive action that is meaningful in a way that is respectful of our treaties, and ensure that all Indigenous communities have a voice in the decision-making processes that impact our land. The time is now to honor our treaties and honor the commitments within legislation such as the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. Miigwech.
Peyton, thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Emily Mann from the Maple Met School in Winnipeg to speak.
Thank you. So as Senator McPhedran said, my name is Emily Mann. I'm in grade 12 from the Maples Met School. I came to this summit because when I learned about the issue of nuclear weapons and how it relates to environmental justice, I knew that I wanted to be a part of that change. And so the thesis project that I brought to present to this summit was on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons and the aspects of the treaty that are absolutely in line with Canada and our values, such as being a peacekeeping country, as well as our commitments to reconciliation, as well as it's a piece of legislation that sets up a precedent for the kind of legislation that we want to pass in our changing society, and especially worries me, and I want to see the leaders of our country committing to that and acknowledging that people who are marginalized by nuclear weapons and by environmental instability they have a seat at the table and they have the opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And I'd now like to invite Cadence Sherbills from the Selkirk School Division.
Good morning. I'm Cadence Sharples from St. Andrews, Manitoba. I am a grade 12 student at Lord Selkirk Regional. I presented this morning with a few of my friends, Maddie, Amelia, and Ashley, about how nuclear weapons affect our youth. As I stated in my presentation, I am afraid that my kids will grow up in a world full of nuclear war. I am afraid that I am still learning about the effects of nuclear weapons, but I started the process of educating myself this past November by joining the Nuclear Peace Club at my school. Myself and my group want the members of Parliament to know that we have a voice and that issues and decisions they make affect us and our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to explain a little bit what we're holding here. This is a large copy of the open letter to Canada, to members of Parliament and senators. And I'm just going to ask if maybe Emily Cadence could hold them for me. I'm going to just close this before we go to questions, just to point out that the polling that has been done in Canada on the level of concern that Canadians, average Canadians have about potential nuclear war, the use of even one nuclear weapon, given that we have 12,000 registered nuclear weapons in the world already, with 9 nuclear countries. That means that we could basically kill ourselves as an entire civilization and the entire planet thousands of times over and over. And we know that the majority of Canadians consistently express in polls deep concern about nuclear weapons, their existence and their use, and that they have a desire, an expectation to hear more and see more action from their government. We know that nuclear weapons present an existential threat to global existence, let alone peace and security. And this open letter to Canada, to members of Parliament and senators, is an appeal, is a cry from young people in this country to those of us who have a responsibility to listen and take action. Thank you very much.
We will now take questions from journalists who joined on Zoom. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function. Nous allons maintenant prendre les questions des journalistes qui se sont joints à nous sur Zoom. Si vous avez une question, s'il vous plaît, utilisez la fonction main levée. Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci, c'est ce qui conclut la conférence de presse.
Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.